Well, hello and welcome to Introduction to Meditation. We are into week 7, getting into the heart of meditation, literally and metaphorically. Thank you so much for joining. Let's start with a classic meditation, partly because I think it's a really good warm-up, but also just to try and get us a little bit settled. So invite you to take your seat, whatever's comfortable for you. So we're trying to have an element of comfort, but also to be alert. And take a nice deep breath in. And let it all the way out. And once again, take a nice deep breath in, but this time hold it at the top for a moment. This time letting it out very slowly. Releasing any tension you might be holding in your face, in your body. And then allow your breathing to return to normal. Just ever so gently noticing what you're bringing to the meditation this evening in terms of what's on your mind. Whether you've got hopes, plans, you're looking forward to something, whether there are frustrations, difficulties. Just noticing what's on your mind and seeing if you can, very gently, see if you can just allow yourself to let that go for the next 90 minutes or so. We're just going to try and be as present as we can in this moment with each other. And then very gently just starting to notice sensations in your body, perhaps noticing sensation of your feet on the floor, perhaps noticing the weight of your body in your chair or on a cushion. Then very gently choosing to pay attention, directing our focus towards our breathing. Very perhaps really narrowing that focus to really notice the sensation of air just at that moment it first enters your nose or your mouth. The breath is just a way of anchoring ourselves into this moment right now. So just looking closely at this breath and letting everything else fall away. We're not trying to fight our mind or stop our thoughts. But we are trying to choose to keep bringing our attention back. Letting go of the thoughts rather than letting them grab us. And choosing over and over again to bring ourselves back to this moment. Back to this next breath. Just noticing where your attention is, ideally without judging yourself. Part of what we're doing is becoming more familiar with how the mind works. It's constantly putting things in our stream of consciousness for us to think about. But then we choose ever so gently to let that go and to rest in this moment with this next breath. And so we're about halfway. Just encourage you to be very gentle with yourself. If your mind is really busy, see if you can accept that your mind is really busy. Just take that step back and notice it. And then just choose, whenever possible, to just rest into the next breath. There's just a couple more minutes to go. I really encourage you to keep persevering, no matter how many times you get distracted. See if you can just keep starting again, as if it was the first time. And I invite you to take a deep breath in and let it all the way out. And then transitioning out of the meditation very gently, perhaps opening your eyes, noticing different colors, different shapes in your room. So week 7, you're still showing up. I'm so impressed. Thank you for being here. We are in the heavenly realms this week, as we were last week. Just to remind you what that's all about, we're looking at these practices, these heart-based meditations of loving kindness and compassion. So last week we looked at this thing called loving kindness. This week we're going to look at compassion. They are similar, slightly different. Interestingly, slightly different. And when I say that we're in the heavenly realms, these two practices come from Buddhism, and they refer to what's known as the brahma viharas. So that means the heavenly realms or the divine abiding. And it is these 4 states of mind that are considered to be sort of heavenly, the places where the gods hang out. And the first one of these is known as metta, or loving kindness, and it is fundamentally about wishing well. It is that obvious sense of sending love or kindness towards other people. This week we're going to look at what's known as karuna, or compassion, ever so slightly different. Insofar as compassion, I think, is a little bit of a step up from loving kindness, insofar as it is acknowledging that life is hard. Life is difficult. Everybody struggles from time to time. And life is a challenge. It's a blessing, of course, but it's also a challenge. And it is filled with difficulty and suffering for everybody. And karuna, or compassion, recognizes that. So it is this step where we recognize that there is suffering, and it is described as being the quivering of the heart in response to suffering. And I think that's quite important. It's quite a good description, is that sense in which when you see perhaps an animal suffering, it's been injured, and there is that quivering of the heart in response to that suffering. Perhaps you see somebody else, or you know somebody who is struggling. And it is that sense inside of you where you wish that their suffering could be alleviated. And sometimes it can, and sometimes it can't. But compassion is the willingness to go to that space, to recognize the suffering, and simply to wish for it to be over. Sometimes you can do something about it, sometimes you can't. Compassion is the willingness to wish for it. That's it. It's just that quivering of the heart. It doesn't say you have to be a saint and fix all the problems. You can't fix all the problems. But it is that willingness to step into the space of recognizing suffering and being willing to wish that it wasn't there. It's a slightly courageous space, I think. Just so that you know, steps 3 and 4, parts 3 and 4 of the divine abiding. The third one is something I just know nothing about. It's called mudita. I think it's for the angels or the idiots. I'm not quite sure which. Mudita is generally described as or translated as sympathetic joy. It is this sense that when your neighbor wins the lottery and goes and gets upgraded everywhere and goes on these incredible holidays and is hanging out with your favorite celebrity, that somehow you're supposed to be happy for them. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, there is a Buddhist teacher called Ajahn Brahm, and he sort of says everybody has difficulty with mudita, this sympathetic joy. He goes, I don't get it. It's a freebie. They're already happy. Just be happy for them. And I can see why this is considered a heavenly realm. I'm just struggling with that one. But so that's sympathetic joy. And then the last one is known as uppeka, or often translated as equanimity, which is this ability to be balanced in the face of everything. Anyway, we're not looking at those two this week. We're just going to look at compassion. And so coming back and just reminding ourselves a little bit about loving kindness and compassion, these are acts of generosity. So we can get awfully technical or philosophical about what is love or what is compassion. But fundamentally, this is an exercise in generosity, and generosity is this inherent trait within all of us. We all have this ability to be generous. Sometimes we don't practice it as much as we might. Sometimes we are moved occasionally to be generous. We see something that's inspiring to us, or somebody inspires us, and we feel this urge to reciprocate with an act of generosity, or somebody's generous to us. But in some ways, this is somewhat transactional, is that if somebody does something nice for us, we'll do something nice for them. And of course, in this exercise, we're trying to go that step beyond that. So this is the unconditional generosity. We're just practicing generosity strictly for the sake of generosity, because it is a heavenly abode to be generous. I'm just going to go with this. Yes, so freely given, and then that step up. So what is the difference between loving kindness and compassion? So again, as I sort of said, I think in compassion, we step into that space of recognizing that there is suffering. So in the loving kindness practice, what we do is we bring to mind various people, somebody we find very easy to love, ourselves, the neutral person, the difficult person, all beings. So this 5-step process, and we wish them well. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they live with joy. And that is the practice. And I think in my experience, and I came to this very late, I didn't get it for a long time. I didn't really realize the power in it. But I think there's something quite special about saying the phrases. Somehow, whether you mean them or not, or whatever, somehow just saying them seems to change something inside. But when we do the compassion exercise, we're going to change it ever so slightly. So it's still going to be a 5-part exercise. We're going to bring the same 5 groups of people to mind. But we're going to change the wording ever so slightly. So instead of saying, may you be happy, may you be healthy, we're going to say, may you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. And may you live with ease. And that last phrase, live with ease, I had a hard time with it for a long time. I didn't really know what it meant. And in the metta loving kindness practices, I choose to change that to may you live with joy. But the traditional way that's translated is may you live with ease. And I think in the compassion exercise, it makes sense to me, is that there is this sense that life is hard. Life is a struggle for many. And that a life lived with ease would be a life without suffering. So I get it. I like it. So if you choose, some people do the safety thing. So may you be safe, for example, would be the metta version. May you be free from danger would be the compassion version. So let's give this a go. You don't have to remember them. I will repeat the phrases many times. And I'm not asking you to be a saint. This is an exercise in discovering our boundaries. As I said last time, the quote I like most is from Rumi, which is, our task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers we have built within us against it. So just do your best with this. And it does take a certain amount of courage to open ourselves up to this idea of suffering. So I recognize that. So if it's a little tricky, that's okay. That's your boundary. Stay there. And I'll just invite you to just try saying the phrases and see if that softens anything for you. So once again, invite you to take your seat such that you're comfortable but alert, and take a nice deep breath in. And let it all the way out. Once again, take a nice deep breath in, but this time hold it at the top for a moment. And this time let it out very slowly, releasing any tension you might be holding in your face, in your shoulders. And allow your breathing to return to normal. We're just going to start by getting ourselves centered and present, noticing our body, noticing our breathing. And I'm going to ask you to bring to mind the person that is easiest for you to send generosity, kindness, and love towards. And invite you to open this beautiful part of yourself, your kindness, your generosity, your love, your compassion. And see if you can gently start saying whatever phrases appeal to you, but perhaps something like, may you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Opening your heart, allowing yourself to experience this beautiful part of yourself. And just repeating the phrases over and over. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Then I'm going to invite you to see if you can open your heart with that same level of generosity, kindness and compassion towards yourself. And I truly believe this is such a powerful, important practice right here. As much as you can, may I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. And this is not about making ourselves free of suffering. It's about that quivering of the heart in the face of our own struggles. That's all. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. Okay. So now let's practice sending that same level of generosity towards what we call our neutral person. Somebody in your life, but you don't know them particularly well. I tend to choose my mailman who delivers my Amazon packages. Don't know him, but I can practice. I know that he struggles because we all do. May you be free of all mental suffering. May you be free of all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Opening your heart as much as you can, and just try repeating the phrases over and over. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Now we're going to step up the challenge a little bit and invite you to bring to mind what we call the difficult person. I'm not going to ask you not to bring to mind somebody you really can't stand, just somebody who's somewhat irritating. And this isn't to forgive them, it's not to excuse their behavior, and it's not really for them at all. It's really for us to find our boundary. What is that barrier we have? And then exploring that barrier and hanging out there. However you feel about this difficult person, what you do know is that just like everybody, they struggle. They experience grief and loss and sadness like everybody else. So see to what extent, even with this difficult person, you can open your heart somewhat. And at the very least, just try saying the phrases. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Okay. And the traditional ending to the exercise is to wish all beings well. So billions of people, trillions of animals, all struggling. And it is the intention, it's the quivering of the heart in response to the inevitable suffering. And just invite yourself to be as open as you can to this. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings live with ease. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings live with ease. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings live with ease. I invite you to take a deep breath in and let it all the way out. Very gently connect yourself back into your body, noticing the different physical sensations, perhaps in your feet, your hands, your face. Noticing your breathing, and perhaps very gently opening your eyes, connecting yourself back into your room, noticing different colors, different shapes. Well, thank you very much for joining. I feel this is, I feel a bit foolish that I came to this so late. I just didn't get it. But I'm now really passionate about it because, I suppose primarily because I've seen the difference in myself, is that there are so many meditation practices and I believe in them all. I think they're all useful and powerful and helpful. But there's something to these practices which just takes it to another level. Last week, I described loving kindness as being like alchemy, of sort of turning lead into gold. And I think maybe that's a little bit grandiose and I'm just a bit pleased with the analogy. But perhaps another way of thinking of it is I sort of feel as though this really is the catalyst, is that in many ways, what meditation is ultimately about, and I know this isn't why most people come to it initially, but just giving you a taste of what sort of more intermediate or advanced meditation is really trying to achieve. It's really about trying to be able to see reality as it is and not how we think it is. And perhaps the best way of explaining that is just to play a little bit of a mental game and just get you to imagine, for example, that I'm going to introduce you to somebody. So let's say I've got a guest on this lesson, and I'm going to introduce you to somebody, and you know nothing about them, and you're immediately sort of thinking, okay, well, who is this person? What is this person? And I'm going to sort of say, what if they were a very controversial person? What if I was saying, I've got Donald Trump is going to come and talk to us about compassion. Now, where does your mind go? And this is the mental exercise, is that you have inside your mind a whole set of preconceived ideas about who Donald Trump is. And I'm sure you're right. Whether you think he's fantastic or you think he's an idiot, or just dangerous or whatever. Try not to go there right now. We're in meditation, compassion. But I just want to show you the mental exercise that we create a world inside our head just on the basis of a suggestion. You're going to meet somebody and you get told, I want you to meet this person. They're like really religious. And then your mind goes to a certain place of they're really religious. Either that means you have something in common with them or you don't. I want you to meet this person. They're an atheist. You're like, And again, your mind goes to a certain place. We create a reality in our mind. Now, we do that all the time. And of course, there are reasons for this. It's helpful in the world to have some kind of experience and wisdom and some pattern matching. It helps us get through and to be able to recognize situations. Of course, absolutely. But the problem is that most of the time we do this on automatic pilot. So we're not even aware we're doing it. We're not even aware that most of what we're experiencing in the world is actually just inside our head. It's not really reality. Now, where does this come back to compassion? Well, that's all fine. That's fun. You can have whatever opinions you want about all these different types of people. The difficulty is, and I think in meditation, what it's really ultimately about is that we have these preconceptions about ourselves. We have these ideas about who we are and what we're not, about what we're good at and what our limitations are. And these are just ideas in our mind. It is not reality. And many of the ideas we have, many of the presuppositions we have, many of the motivations we have, many of our strategies about what we think is going to make us happy or successful or whatever's deep down in your psyche, whatever makes up your psychology, a lot of that was built when we were between 3 and 7 years old. sometimes based on what made us happy. Like we got a little bit of attention or a little bit of love, and we're like, "Ooh, I really like that. I want more of that." But at least as much, if not more, of our psyche was built by trauma and hurt and sadness and things that caused us pain. And we built these lessons about, no, I don't want that. I want less of that. I must avoid that. That was too painful. Mustn't have that again. And we were 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that. And so we've got this whole view of reality and a view of ourselves based on somebody who was very young and not able to understand a lot of what they were experiencing in terms of good things and also in terms of bad things. So let's just have a look at some of these pieces of sadness, pieces of pain, pieces of trauma that we experienced as children and we're still operating based on those. How do you get past that? How are you able to actually see the world as it is and not based on all of this stuff inside our head, based on our experiences and the conclusions we drew when we were very young? How can we get past that? And of course, in fundamental meditation, it is about being fully present and being able to see our mind, and it's really helpful. It's really important. Mantra meditation takes us really, really deep, back almost to sort of base 1, so we can get an experience of what that feels like. But in my experience, it's this love and really this compassion piece. This compassion piece, particularly towards ourselves, that can be the catalyst to undo a lot of the mistaken ways in which we look at the world. So we see the world in a certain way based on what we're trying to avoid, what we want more of, all that kind of stuff. We don't see it how it is. And I think while there are all these other ways of getting there towards this clarity and wisdom of seeing reality as it is, not how we think it is, I think it's compassion that has the ability to let us get past. It allows us to be able to recognize our own suffering deep down in our psyche, even if you don't know what it is. And I'm not against psychotherapy or anything, but this is not psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is about looking at all that stuff. We're not really looking at that stuff, but I believe that in meditation, this has the ability to just allow us to open that door, to allow some of that suffering out and to let it heal. So when we recognize that we suffer, may I be free of all mental suffering. May I be free of all physical suffering. May I live with ease. We are saying something to our deep, deep psyche, and we're opening a door to be able to get past that so that we can actually see reality as it is and not how we think it is. There's a teacher who sort of says that, again, a lot of these people are Buddhists just because that's where we are, and they seem to have a lot more around these practices of loving kindness and compassion. And I don't want to make you all Buddhists. Now compassion has been recognized. They've done a lot of neuroscience studies on this, and they've looked at the brain when people are looking at compassion. So it's now become much more of a secular activity, and it's actually taught at some of the top universities, mainly, unfortunately, in the United States, and hopefully we might be able to change that and move that to the United Kingdom as well. But there are a lot of practices because they've started to recognize just how powerful this stuff is. So it's no longer just within the realm of Buddhism. But there is a Buddhist teacher who I like, who is just explaining about this thing about trying to see reality as it is and not how we think it is. And he sort of said it's like we're going through this life, but we're surrounded by all this beauty. And the analogy he gives is, let's say you're on a bus trip, and you're on a bus trip going through the most beautiful countryside, but everybody's just looking at their phone. Nobody's looking at the countryside. And that's sort of our experience, I think, a lot in life, is we aren't able to see reality as it is. And the premise behind a lot of these things, behind so many spiritual practices and personal development practices, is that reality is so much more beautiful, so much richer, so much more on offer than we might think. But we're so stuck and trapped in the prison of the way we see the world. And I really believe compassion is the key to unlock this door. That's why I think we practice it. Okay. I'm going to share the question I used to have about this, which I didn't always say out loud because I thought it would make me look like an idiot. But I think I avoided this compassion and loving kindness practice for a long time because I was living in New York and I was working on Wall Street. I wasn't a banker, but that's where I worked. And it was a tough environment. Probably not as tough as people. It's different than what it looks like in the movies and things like that. But it's hard. It's definitely hard. And everybody's working incredibly hard. And there's not much time for love and kindness and generosity and compassion. And I sort of used to think that love and compassion would make you soft, that it would also make you a bit of a pushover, make you easy target, that you would be too generous, you would be too easy to take advantage of, that it would be a weakness to show love and compassion. And I remember thinking that, and I'm pretty familiar and I'm understanding of why I used to think that. But I think it's because I confused wisdom with generosity, compassion, and love. And there was this sense in which love and compassion would stop you from being wise. And so if I may gently suggest that actually really skillful living at the highest possible level, what these Buddhists refer to as these heavenly realms, requires wisdom. So we can do compassion, generosity, and love with wisdom. And that doesn't mean we'll get it right every time, but you can do both. And you have to hold both. And the very silly example I was once given was this idea that, you can love lions and you can be compassionate towards lions. That doesn't mean you get into the cage with a hungry lion. That wouldn't be wise. Your love and compassion is not going to save you from the hungry lion. That's lacking wisdom. So to do love and compassion skillfully does require wisdom, but those two things can coexist. So the difficult situation that we experience in the modern world quite a lot is maybe you're walking down the street and you see somebody homeless begging and you don't know their situation. They might be desperate. They might have genuinely just run out of luck. Or they might be a professional and this is how they make a living. Or they might be, a drug addict or an alcoholic, or they might have severe mental problems. We don't know, but they show up in our lives and we have a choice in that moment. We can ignore them. We can look away. We can shut ourselves off. We can protect ourselves from recognizing this stain on our society, this difficult situation. We can judge that person, of course. Just get a job. Why can't you get a job? I have a job. Why can't you get a job? We can judge our society or our government. Like, how is it that this is allowed to exist? Whose fault is it? We can choose to go to any of those places. The brave and the difficult place to go is to that place of compassion, to allow ourselves to experiencing the quivering of the heart in the face of suffering. And then the difficult part, of course, is the wisdom part, is what are you going to do about it? Because in all likelihood, maybe you can, but many, many people are trying. Homelessness, for example, just as one example, is a very complicated problem. There are all sorts of different categories of people who end up homeless, and trying to solve any of those is very complicated. So giving them £1 is not going to solve their problems. Not giving them £1 is also not going to solve their problems. I don't know what the wise thing to do is. What I do know is that the highest way of living is perhaps to allow yourself to stand in the space of wishing that suffering didn't exist, without judgment, without pity. Pity is not compassion. Pity is about superiority and being sort of, oh, I'm fine, but I'm sorry about your situation. No. It's what's known as the close enemy of compassion. Compassion is being open to suffering and just allowing yourself to wish for it not to be there. And I will gently suggest, and don't get this right all the time, but just being willing to go to that space, even though it's a little bit more uncomfortable and a little bit more painful, because you're willing to step slightly into the space of acknowledging suffering, it's a much better place to go than just sitting in judgment or ignoring it or shutting ourselves off. It's ultimately the more skillful place to go. But it's a challenge. It takes courage. And it takes wisdom. And those two things are difficult. So I wish you the best. I hope you will continue giving this a go. We'll do one more meditation, and then we will continue this with all of the daily meditations I'll do next week. So I hope you can join for some or all of those. In the meantime, can I invite you to take your seat such that you're comfortable but alert? If you need to stretch, if you've been sitting watching me for an hour, by all means get up, take a stretch, and then when you're ready, take your seat and take a nice deep breath in. And let it all the way out. Once again, take a nice deep breath in, but this time hold it at the top for a moment. And this time let it out very slowly, releasing any tension you might be holding in your face, in your shoulders, in your body. And then allow your breathing to return to normal. And just allow yourself to get centered in this moment. See if you can let go of whatever's on your mind. Let go of everything I've just talked about. Just being present right here, right now, with this breath. And then bringing to mind the person that's easiest for you to open your heart towards. And seeing if you can take all of your barriers off and really open your heart fully. And saying these or whatever phrases you're most comfortable with. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Opening your heart, enjoying this most beautiful part of yourself, and repeating your phrases over and over. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. And then seeing if you can send that same level of kindness towards yourself. And just doing your best. I invite you not to overthink this. Just do the practice. Just open your heart towards yourself as much as you can and just say the phrases. In my experience, this seems to do something quite deep without us working it out or having the solution or thinking it through. Opening your heart. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I live with ease. Okay. Well, let's just practice sending this level of generosity towards our neutral person we don't particularly know very well, but we know that they struggle, as does everybody. And we're just practicing this beautiful part of ourselves, the most beautiful part of ourselves. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. Okay, now we're going to raise the challenge a little bit. Just bringing to mind your difficult person. Just do your best. This really isn't for their benefit. It's for our benefit. To that extent, this person is now of use to you as your difficult person, helps you find your barriers. So perhaps we have a little bit of generosity towards them just for being difficult, helping with this exercise. Anyway, bringing them to mind, opening your heart as much as you can, recognizing that they, like everybody, struggles with this thing called life. And at the very least, just try repeating the phrases with them in your mind's eye. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from all mental suffering. May you be free from all physical suffering. May you live with ease. And the traditional ending to the exercise is to wish all beings well. Once again, just do your best. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings live with ease. The premise is you have far more capacity of this generosity, love, and compassion than you might realize. We're just starting to explore how vast your capacity is. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings live with ease. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings live with ease. Okay, and as we transition out of this last meditation, really invite you to be very gentle as you move back into the rest of your evening. Perhaps just start by connecting yourself into your body, really noticing physical sensations in your feet, in your hands, the weight of your body in your seat. Noticing your breathing. I invite you to take a deep breath in and let it all out. And then very gently, just connecting yourself back into your room. Just opening your eyes, noticing different colors, different shapes. So thank you ever so much. It's week 7. You're still showing up. I'm absolutely honored that you are still coming along with this little experiment of mine online. Thank you. Thank you for being brave and trying on this compassion stuff. I think it's worth it. I think maybe it is alchemy. Maybe it does turn lead into gold, but it's certainly a catalyst to something really profound and deep in my opinion. And I hope you might join for some of these morning daily meditations that I'll be posting or hosting over the next week. And then same time, same place next week for the last one. May you be free from all mental suffering, and may you be happy. May you be free from all physical suffering, and may you be healthy. May your life flow with ease. May you live with joy. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great week.